welcome or welcome back to my channel or my social or however you're watching this. It's November and it's getting chilly out there. Last night I went out and did some shopping and it was raining, but it was this close to snowing. Not there yet, but it was very close. I think it was like 37 degrees. But it's November and it's getting close to the middle of the month, which means it's time for 1000's T-Shirt of the Month Club. I got this baby in this week and I'm finally getting around to making the video. I've got a lot going on. We'll talk about that. But here it is. Here I am. There you are. Let's open it. Always keep a knife on you. All right, and it is another color I've not yet received. I'm always amazed. There's always a new color coming. This thing, yeah, man, this thing is sweet. All right, I'll stand up and share it with you. Here we go. Check out that design. That's very cool. I cannot translate any of that, but it does say down here, I hear it cry out to the moon. So maybe that's the translation. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Either way, very cool shirt. Love this color. And yeah, well done, 1000. That's a very cool shirt. Okay. So we've gotten the shirt, soft, very high quality, silk screen as always. Very, very happy to have this. Next up, he also sent this month a die-cut vinyl sticker. And you can zoom in there or I will zoom in. Chill vibes. Very, very appropriate for my time at home. Very much chill vibes here. Sort of. I do a lot of stuff. That's a very cool sticker. I think this one may actually go on my car. All right. Okay, so that's the 1000 T-Shirt of the Month Club reveal. I have not been disappointed yet. Every month, always a cool shirt and usually a very cool vinyl sticker. If you want to also receive these shirts, you can sign up for the T-Shirt of the Month Club, or better yet, you can become a patron, which will, under certain tiers, also give you the T-Shirt of the Month, and you'll have access to the Discord server and the Patreon, and you get early releases of his videos. And if you're like me and you love what he does, that's just like Christmas a day early. All right. So, what's new in the last few weeks? What's new is I bought a 3D printer. I did it. I wanted a Bamboo Labs printer just because they're high quality and easy for a beginner like myself to learn on. In this month, and I think all the way until early December, they're having huge sales. And the 3D printer I wanted was, I decided, the H2S. And I wanted the H2S because it's a single nozzle printer. The next model up would be the H2D, which has a dual extruder built into it, which is cool. But to me, it didn't really go far enough because I've seen stuff like the Persa XL that has tool changers, multiple tool changers, and there's another one that's came out on a Kickstarter that's also got, I think, 4 heads, and 2 heads is cool. It reduces some of the filament purge, but if you're printing with more than two colors, you're going to still have to purge. So the single nozzle, and for it being significantly cheaper, was probably the route I was going to go. However, Bamboo Labs did not have that printer on sale. And it was on back order until sometime in December. And I really wanted to get a printer and get started with learning how to use it, and they had a sale on another printer. The printer they had on sale, still have on sale, was the P1S, which is a very capable printer. It's got a slightly smaller build plate. I think it's 256 by 256 millimeters versus the HS1, which had a 350 millimeter squared plate. So it's a little smaller, but for me, that kind of works okay, you know, for prototypes and learning, you know. So that's the one I ended up with, and it came with an AMS, which, if you're not familiar, the AMS is the multi-spool material handler. So I can run on this machine now 5 filaments, 5 different colored filaments. I can run different materials. It's you know, you got to be careful. You can't combine certain materials, but it came with that, all set up for $549. That's about a third of the price I was going to spend, and I've got a very nice machine. In fact, here in a little bit, I'll switch the camera around, and we'll go over and I'll show you the workspace I've got set up so far. But I got the printer, and when I first fired that thing up, I broke out in a rash, like all over my arms, my leg, my body. I had a very bad reaction, and I thought that was going to be the end of my printing experience. I was ready to return the machine, and I thought maybe, hey, I'm allergic to whatever happens when 3D printer melts plastic and puts it onto a build plate. So I reached out to Bamboo Labs, and it takes a few days for them to get back, and in the meantime, I was like, you know what? I've already got the rash. Let's see if it gets worse. And I recommend you don't do that. That's probably not a good idea. But I did. I switched the filament out. I was like, maybe I'm just allergic to this filament, whatever. And I started printing, and I kind of monitored the rash situation, and I kept printing and kept printing and kept printing, and the rash went away within a couple days. It was a bad enough rash that I was considering going to urgent care to get some prescription medication to combat it. But it went away after a couple days, and I continued printing that whole time, and still am printing, and I've not had a reaction since. I'm guessing it was either something in the packing material I was allergic to, or oftentimes when you're making components, there's mold release that's sprayed onto different parts, or there's a protective coating of oil on metal parts so that they don't rust or corrode during shipping or storage. And I'm guessing that something in there, as I initially fired it up, activated and got into the air or onto my skin, and that's what caused the reaction. It has not come back, and I'm so grateful, because I was very much looking forward to getting into this 3D printing world. And the 3D printing portion of it is only a portion, like a half of the excitement I had for it. The other half, and maybe even more so, was the 3D modeling and learning the software and becoming good with design. And man, I am learning some softwares. Right now I'm working on learning Nomad Sculpt. Blender is going to be starting here shortly. I've got the Slicer software that comes with the Bamboo printer. That's a whole beast to tackle. And I've just purchased SolidWorks for Makers. And I wanted SolidWorks for Makers because a lot of industries use SolidWorks. And while SolidWorks for Makers is not exactly the same as the commercial use SolidWorks, the features are similar, and the the way it operates is similar. So getting a good handle on that will give me a leg up if I go into a field where I'm using SolidWorks, which is kind of where I'm headed. I'd like to maybe try out being a CAD technician. I've done some work with AutoCAD Mechanical, a lot of work with AutoCAD Mechanical for creating wireframes for plasma and torch tables. And I've done a little bit of work in AutoCAD Inventor, which is a 3D modeling platform similar to SolidWorks, which is also kind of why I wanted SolidWorks. But that's what I've got going on right now. And having the printer is kind of a proof of concept for the models I create. So being able to create models and little prototypes and things like that is one thing, but being able to print them and prove that they're functional and that they fit and work is another. So having the printer was a big part of that for me. And I'd really like to have a full shop with a garage and a small CNC mill and maybe some woodworking tools and all of that. But right now I'm in an apartment, so a 3D printer is a much cleaner and more realistic tool to be using, and it's a CNC. It uses G-code. But yeah, for now that will work out nicely. So anyway, yeah, let's go take a look at it. All right, so here we go. This is my current setup. You may notice I'm not wearing the same clothes as I was earlier in the video. I'm actually shooting this again. The first time I recorded, I had my ISO settings way too high and everything was just kind of washed out. And so I'm doing it again. Learn from your failures, right? But nonetheless, here we are. And this is the Bamboo Labs P1S printer. And it is a very nice little machine. I've been printing like crazy over the last couple weeks. I have it sitting on a work table, a workbench that I got from Amazon from a company called Moowood, M-U-W-O-O-D, Moowood, and that thing is solid. Let me tell you, I ordered another bench to put over in the hobby corner, and it was from a different company, but it looked very similar to this, and I thought it was cheaper. I'll try it. That bench was garbage. It was straight garbage. I had to return it. It was very thin metal. I just couldn't keep it. I couldn't keep that thing. And what I did instead was I ordered another one from Moowood, which I will have to build later today, probably. It's in my list of many projects, but I can recommend this guy. This is a good bench. This is like I said, this is the printer. This is the material handler for it. It holds 4 spools, and then I've got a spot on the back to hold a 5th one, should I ever need that. It also came with this bench, came with pegboards, which is nice. And I've started to fill that out. I've got some digital calipers up here. I've got a whole assortment of small pliers and cutters and things that have just been incredibly useful. I highly recommend getting yourself a set. These came from Harbor Freight. I don't know, they were probably less than 20 bucks. Totally worth it. I've got some scrapers for removing parts from the plate. I've got a pair of scissors and a radius gauge. This right here has been incredibly helpful. It's a small rotary tool, kind of like a Dremel, only it's cordless, and it was only like 25 bucks on Amazon. And it's by a company called Hardell, and it's really amazing. I've used it quite a bit, and I'm very impressed for that low of a price for it to be that quality of a product. I have also an extra build plate hanging up here. I have a toolkit from Creality, a 3D printing toolkit, which is really nice, and I've used quite a few items out of that periodically. I also have a handy dandy trusty hobby torch, which is really good for kind of burning stringing off of your prints. You just quickly hit them. Also for if you sand on a product and or a piece, and you just hit it with this lightly, it puts the finish back to the way it was sometimes. I also have this guy here. Allow me to show you what this is. This is a sort of a press, a soldering iron press, something I never thought I would purchase. In fact, didn't even know existed. It's got a cover on it right now. But if you look in, you can see it's just a soldering iron clamped to a guide rail tower, and it's spring loaded like that. And you might say, well, what the hell would you need that for? And that would be a fair question to ask. So what this is for heat set inserts. So, which are these guys here. These are heat set inserts, little brass guys, and they're threaded. And so if you make a product that's out of plastic or PLA, PETG, ABS, whatever material you're using, and you want it to have metal threads so that you can connect parts, this will allow you to press those in straight. So, and here's an example of that, I suppose. At the top here, even in this machine, they've pressed in some heat set inserts into the, I think it's one of the few plastic pieces on this part. It's the tower connector. And so that's what that will do. And I've not tried it yet, so I can't tell you how well it works. It is a variable temperature soldering gun. And if I ever need to solder something, I can simply remove those bolts and use the gun by itself. But I'm sure in the next few weeks I will be testing this guy out, and I'll let you know how that goes. It's a very cool little tool. So what else? Okay, so down below here on the second shelf, I have a filament dryer by Creality, and this thing is pretty cool because it's got two different chambers. So if I'm drying different materials that have different drying temperatures, or I want to bring the humidity to a different level, dry them to a different level or different time, I can put 2 rolls in one side, 2 rolls in the other side, and I can have 2 separately controlled chambers for drying or dehydrating. And so that was a pretty cool purchase. It also has a like a maintenance cycle it'll go into. So once it's reached the target dryness, yeah. Once it's reached its target, it will power down, and then when it detects that the humidity or moisture has raised inside the chamber, it'll kick on and bring that back down so that it's consistent. Very cool. I'm using it right now, obviously, and I've got 4 rolls in there. I also have some nitrile gloves. It's important to have a solid supply of these guys when you're gluing or even handling the plates. It's not a bad idea to have these on so your oils from your skin don't get onto the plate. I have some more filaments there, and obviously a tower of filaments here. I'm still working on organization for those. Here's some desiccant, or this is actually silica gel. This kind of keeps things dry as well. And there's containers in the back of that machine that have some of those in it. Also in the AMS, there's desiccants to keep the humidity and the moisture down within that. As you can see, I've been busy printing many items, and I've had some success, and I've had some failures. I've had some failures, and then you learn from your failures, right? Here's a print that I did just a couple days ago. It's a Cheshire cat, and it's a color stacked print, and it turned out okay, but not exactly correct. And I can show you. I printed 2 on the plate. When I went to take this one off, the back plate came off, or the top came off, and the back plate was still attached to the plate, which is a fail. But if you look inside, it's also kind of cool that you can see the infill pattern. And I think where this went wrong is the original size was almost as big as the plate, and I scaled it down to print 2 of them and to use one as a purge object. And when I scale it down, you're scaling everything down, including the area here that adheres to the base. And so there wasn't a whole lot of area adhering to the base, for one. 2, I was using 2 different types of material. They were both PLA, and I don't think that was really an issue. I thought originally it might have been, but this is pretty solid, other than the top to the base. But I think that thin edge didn't give it enough to grab onto, and so I'm actually right now, as you can see, this guy's running. I'm reprinting this. You know, learn from your failures, try something different, see if it works. And what I've done is I'm doing just one. I made it a little bit bigger, and I've increased the number of wall loops to 4. It was set at 2. So even though it's still scaled down from the original, it's slightly larger than these, so the walls will probably be thicker, and adding those extra loops will ensure that it is. Hopefully. I guess we'll find out when this print is done. What else I have set up is off to the side over here. You can see there's a air purifier running. And also, you can't see, I'm right next to the kitchen, so I have a stove vent that I have exhausting air on low while this is printing. And inside this machine, there is there's a filter for the air that's being exhausted out. Also, originally it came with this activated carbon filter. It's got pellets in it, and acid-free activated carbon, and that works really well for just catching stuff, you know. But a company called Voxel PLA came out with an enhanced filter. So I decided to pick up a few of those. They're only about $6. And the difference between these and the OEM filter that comes with it is that these also have the acid-free activated carbon, but they have, in addition to that, a HEPA filter. So the air will flow through the HEPA filter and then through the activated carbon and then be exhausted. What I'm printing with right now is mainly PLA and maybe some PETG, and they have relatively low VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, that are released when they print. However, it's not zero, you know, and so for me, cleaning the air and making sure that I'm safeguarding against any sort of VOCs or fumes or ultrafine particles just gives me a peace of mind, and which is why I also purchased from Voxel PLA this guy. So that guy right there, I still have to install it, is sort of like having air purifier that's going to end up inside of the printer. So it will circulate the air in the printer, and it goes through a multi-stage filtration. The top is going to be another HEPA filtration, and the second layer is going to be a pretty large chamber of more activated carbon. And down below, I will install 2 of these 40, I believe they're 4028 fans. Very, very powerful little fans will be installed here. And then this will be assembled. And essentially it will draw air down through the top, through the filtration, and then back out inside the machine and just kind of circulate the air and clean it as it's running. So it will be filtered within the chamber, but then also filtered as it's leaving the exhaust of the chamber, but also filtered through the air purifier on the outside of the machine, and also ventilated with the stove. And that's probably a bit excessive for printing PLA and PETG, but for me, I feel better if I'm doing as much as I can to ensure that when you're manufacturing at home, that you're doing it safely and cleanly. The other thing I'm looking at is I've watched some videos, is building a Corsi Rosenthal box. And what that is basically a 6-sided cube that 4 sides of that cube are going to be filters, similar to what you'd have with your multi-stage air purifier. You know, HEPA, charcoal, carbon, whatever. Multi-layered filters will surround 4 sides of that box. Then you'll have a base, and on top you will have a box fan or some similar fan to draw air in through the top, push it out through the filters. And what that does is very similar to what an air purifier does, but with a much higher amount of CFM, right? So much more air movement, and being filtered through 4 sides, it'll really just kind of scrub the air. And the version I'm looking to build, I will probably design some parts for it in SolidWorks as I get better with that. Because you can build these things with duct tape and cardboard, and that's great, you can do that. But I'd like mine to be a little fancier. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, the results I've seen with air quality monitors is that it eliminates pretty much all VOCs just running that on 3D printers for sure, but also significantly reduces them, the VOCs, if you're like laser cutting even. Laser cutting acrylic, in fact, is what I saw, which is very high VOC. But that's a project that may be coming up. Maybe there'll be a video, who knows. But yeah, I've printed a lot of stuff, some successes, some failures. I've made a lot of these guys. These are just little single print, so it prints in one piece like this. But it's also a mechanical piece, which is crazy to me. But little butterfly knives, because I mean, it's a really fun fidget toy, and you should always keep a knife on you. You know what I mean? I've given out quite a few of these at work to coworkers, and I've just printed I've printed stacks of them because it's a quick print, and it's a fun little project, and I just like them. You know, I've printed out some signs, some statues. I've printed out some of my own little designs. But yeah, I mean, you know, some things work, some things don't. Occasionally I've had a spool jam up. I used a generic spool, and it jammed up, and so I had to troubleshoot that. So there's highs and lows to it, but overall it's a remarkable machine. And you know, I'm in the process right now of finding somewhere around here that I can send my failed prints and my, excuse me, machine poops, the purges, to for recycling, because there are companies out there that and organizations that take your printer waste and recycle it. They grind it down and then they heat it up and reform it into usable filament for other people. And so safe manufacturing, but also responsible manufacturing when possible. I'm gonna have a lot of stuff, and I'm thinking I'm just basically giving stuff away because I'm printing it and I don't need to keep all this stuff. Maybe I should do a giveaway with the little wheel, the spinning wheel, the prize wheel. Maybe a little giveaway and share some of my little prints with you guys. I don't know, it's an option. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. Go ahead and comment below and let me know. If enough people are interested, we'll do that, and we'll try to find some cool stuff to put in that box if you want to do the drawing. Yeah, that's it for now. It will grow and develop, I'm sure, over time, but it really works out pretty well. All right, I think that's it. That's all we've got for this little episode, and I sure appreciate you guys, and I've gotten a lot of love from the community, creator community, and friends and coworkers, and it just means the world, and thank you. Anyway, peace.